Thank you all for joining us again for a Numa conversation. Here we have raw, authentic, and unfiltered conversations with spiritual leaders, spiritual teachers, coaches, and healers. Get to know who we truly are beyond the polished world of interviews, social media, and podcasts. We're not perfect. We struggle too. Join us as we share our lives, our challenges, and meaningful discussions on healing, transformation, and the future of humanity. And today we are in conversation with Ann Papayoti. Some of you may remember her. She interviewed me a few weeks ago on her show, Soul CPR. And I'm so grateful to have her here, my new friend, Ann. Thank you for joining us, Ann.
Thank you, Chad. I'm so excited to be here with you and to continue our conversation. We had so much more we wanted to talk about, and we just didn't have the time. And I look forward to this.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly. And we were just getting started, and I was, wanted to share so much. You wanted to say so much, but I reached out to you months ago because I saw your website. I'm like, we have a lot of similarities here, what we're talking about. And so if you could just share a little bit, who is Ann? What got you to Soul CPR? Why Skyview coaching? Just kind of in a nutshell, as best you can.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I am always a student and sometimes a teacher. And when I look back on my life, I realized that as a kid, I used to write in my little school book, what I was going to be when I grew up. And it
Mm,
would be teacher, nurse, teacher, stewardess, teacher. Anyway, I'd always come back to teacher, right? But I always thought it'd be the traditional thing in front of the fourth grade classroom, right? At the chalkboard, something like that.
yeah.
Well, it turns out I think I am some type of a teacher, but not in the traditional way. And I think that God
Mm,
took me down that different path based on my life experiences. And I think all of us, if we look back, we don't things maybe turn out the way they're supposed to be. The path may not be exactly what we thought it would be, and the destination may not be how we envisioned it. But I was always meant to be a teacher. So I
mm,
first and foremost, I'd say that's really who I am and what I do. And at the core of what I do is that I really help people through personal heartbreak,
mm.
and from there to profound healing. And is that the role of a teacher? Not in the traditional fourth grade classroom at the chalkboard.
Sure.
It's no, but it's really helping people kind of, I think, untangle from their past and reclaim their lives, reclaim ownership of who they are, their identity, their purpose,
Mhm.
then learn how to thrive once more in life. And it's a beautiful job, if I could say that. It's a beautiful purpose for me to have in my life. And um, I'm someone who believes in turning wisdom or turning or finding wisdom from our wounds. And I think we all
Mhm.
can do that and finding purpose from our pain. And I think that that has been um, I guess, the literature of my life and why do bad things happen to good people and helping people work through that type of experience in their life. And I'd like to think of myself as a very simple person who has been put in front of people because I'm relatable. I've
Mhm.
had some experiences that many share. And in being relatable, sometimes it's a very difficult and sad place to be that someone has had the same experience as I had, but I become a mirror for them. And then I become someone that can inspire them because if I can do it, they can do it, meaning
Mm.
arrive somewhere else, arrive on the other side, overcome the obstacle. Um, and so that's what led to Skyview Coaching to answer your question. I was called to this. And I
Yeah.
truly believe that. And I know you can relate to that, Chad,
Yeah.
of being called to service in some way. And I worked 17 years for a corporation. I worked for a major US airline, and I worked in community affairs. I worked in corporate training. So there were a lot of things that helped position me to be able to serve people in this way, or to 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 teach, if you will, and to
Yeah.
facilitate and to take information and to break it down into manageable bites. But I didn't realize where I was being led, but I started serving
Mm,
in the separation divorce support community because I went through separation divorce. And I sat through a support group, and I found myself healing in the community of others who were experiencing the same type of painful journey. And then I was tapped into because of this corporate experience. They thought, well, you can be the next facilitator and leader of this group. I said, I can't do that. I'm not healed. They said, but you heal by helping others.
yes.
And I thought, oh, okay. Well, if you really trust me to do this, I will. So I did that. And that's been 28 years ago. I started serving in that capacity. And what happened with the calling then, Chad, was that people wanted one-on-one time with me beyond
Mm,
the group setting. And I didn't feel qualified. I didn't feel certified to show up in their lives. And so we were going to lunch, going to dinner. They were coming over to my house for one-on-one time. My cat's in their lap. They're staying for dinner. And eventually I said, I need to turn this into something more. I need to be higher trained. I need certifications. And that was about me and my
okay.
insecurities about where I stood positioned to help them. They didn't think I needed anything more, but I did. So
Mm,
I did. And eventually, when life put me in a position, I was remarried, relocated, and my kids were at a place in life where I could spend the time back in school, back in some training. And then I felt, I guess, qualified to be able to help people in the way they were asking me to help them. And
mm,
then I made it known this is what I do. I became a certified coach. Didn't get a website for a while, speaking of, because I did. I just had people coming from support groups straight to one-on-one practice. But finally, somebody said, "I want to send a friend to you, but what's your website?" And I said, "Oh, I don't have one." I felt
mm,
that felt kind of, I don't know, didn't feel authentic to have a website. And they said, but if somebody wants to see you, they need to be able to see you. And I finally had to get this. There's a difference between look at me and see
mhm.
me, choose
Yeah.
to. And
Yeah.
that was a big thing, Chad, because the type of work we do, we aren't trying to be influencers. We're not trying to jump up and
Yeah.
down and say,
Right.
"Hey, look at me." We're just trying to say we have to put it out to the world. This is what I do. This is what I can offer you. See me if you choose to. So
Yeah.
that's what led to Skyview coaching. And Skyview is all about when you look up, there's a whole
Mm,
different perspective. And we could
yeah.
take that to lots of meanings, you and I could, but that was the point is Skyview, look
Yeah.
up, we can see things we can't see when we're looking down. And now you know what I do. I help people
Right.
go through unexpected change or choose change.
Hmm.
They know something has to change.
Yeah. Have you learned that going back to one of the comments you made that I'm not healed. I can't do, I'm paraphrasing what you said. Do you think you've learned that you don't have to be healed? Because I think
Yes.
there's this misunderstanding, misconception that we have to be healed, we have to know it all, we have to have all the right answers, and it's just certainly not the case. Would you
Uh-huh.
would you you
I
agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. I think healing is a lifelong journey.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah.
I can find myself still maybe triggered by a character in a movie, by their experience. I
Mm,
might have something come up for me when I'm in session with a client, something I thought was long healed. It doesn't mean that I go through it on the same level or
right.
emotional depth, but it's still there and it's something to revisit. Um, and there's nothing shameful about that. There's
Yeah.
something about that that says
Hmm.
we're human, and some scars are still more vulnerable than others. And that's okay. And what does it say? What does it tell me to go sit with and revisit and spend time with and maybe seek counsel for? And
Yeah.
one thing in the coaching world is coaches have coaches. We
Yes, we do.
we we'll spend time with one another.
Yeah.
And because, the when you're in the forest, you can't see the trees, right? When you're in your own stuff, sometimes you need a different
Mhm.
perspective, someone from the outside to say, hey, Ann, this is what I'm hearing you say to me. Have you considered that? So it's we're human, and I think healing is an ongoing journey. It can be lifelong. It can bring up generational things. I
Mhm.
think as we're going back, we're healing for others, as we were talking about our other dear friend
Yeah.
Rita earlier, that has helped us learn these things. So um I love that I'm not fully healed for those reasons,
Mhm.
because it keeps reminding me and keeps reminding me that that's an unattainable thing, but that the journey is what's so beautiful, because I can
Yes.
see the growth every time I feel it, and I feel the wound a little bit. I can also notice the growth.
Yes, absolutely. And we've heard the phrase that hurting people hurt people. But I think in addition to that, healing people heal people. We don't hear that so very often. And I don't know if I coined those words or whatever, but it is so true. Healing people heal people. And we need to remember that. And even when we don't think we are hurting others, if you're hurting and you're not healing you're not on a path of healing yourself, you're unintentionally hurting other people, whether you
Yeah,
realize it or not. And even when we're healing, we also can unintentionally hurt, but we're aware of it.
right, right.
And then in those little moments where we're not aware of it, someone comes along and lets us know, but then we're also willing to say we're sorry.
There you
But
go.
yeah, go. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you did coin that. I've never heard that, healing people.
Okay.
And I love that, and I'm going to use that. Thank you, and I will credit you. But yes, I think there's a difference. Healing people that might recognize that we may have somehow unintentionally, and that's the difference. Intention is always what we need to look for behind
Yes.
any action. Was the intention to harm? And I think hurting people hurt with intention, because, uh, and I still look at them with compassion, right? I think it's they don't want to be alone in their
Yeah.
pain. Whereas healing people, if there's any hurt that comes, it's without intention, if they're
Mm.
truly healing, right? So, and I think again, it's taking that accountability and responsibility. If they acknowledge and they realize they may have said something that may have hurt someone or done something, they will then pull back and take accountability for that. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think it's looking at intention always.
Attention. What do you think about intention and behavior? We started to talk about that a little bit, when I was on your show, but
Yes.
I want to know your opinion. Intention and behavior, is it similar? Is it the same? Does it matter? You know,
Well, we can take this a few directions too. First of all,
Good.
on the if it's conscious behavior. If it's conscious behavior, we got to look at the intention. If it's
Yeah.
unconscious or coming from the subconscious, and that's I like to use unconscious myself
Yeah.
in my training. I'm neurolinguistics program being trained and certified, which we look at the unconscious. Um,
Okay.
so, energetically speaking, I think when we are in a negative mindset,
Mm.
and if we talk about how our thoughts, and this is an energy cycle, our
Yeah.
thoughts create how we feel, and how we feel creates or determines what we do or don't do in life, the actions,
Absolutely.
the
Yep.
behaviors that we see, right? So that's
Hmm.
an energy cycle. And if we're in a negative energy cycle of thought, feeling, action, or behavior, sometimes that's being driven unconsciously. We're not consciously choosing because we're so caught up in the pain that we're not consciously choosing. We have forfeited the power of choice.
Yes.
we'll hear blinded by rage or anger, those kinds of things, right? So in that negative cycle, there's really in the what I use is something called energy leadership, which was created by Bruce Schneider, who's the founder of IPEC coaching, where I was certified. And this particular model uses two types of energy spread over 7 levels that actually line up with the chakras. And only 2 of 7 levels of energy are negative. The other 5 are positive. And we all have access to all 7 levels of energy, but we get stuck in these bottom 2 negative a lot
Yeah. Yep.
of our thinking because we go level 1, victim thinking. And
Hmm.
that's creates victim feelings, which creates victim actions or behaviors, which is I think I can't, therefore I feel I can't, which is apathy. Therefore, what's my action, my behavior? I don't. I can't, therefore I don't. So I might acquiesce. I might not speak up in a meeting. I might not ask a question. I sit back in the corner. I play small in life, right?
Hmm.
Sit
Yeah.
on the sidelines of my own life. Maybe at the bottom of that level of energy, I'm depressed. I don't get out of bed. I don't take a
Yeah.
shower. I don't change my clothes for days. Whatever that may look like, we know what it feels like. We've all been there. We've all experienced that on some level. The second level that's still negative and catabolic is more powerful than the first level, than victim energy. That's going to be conflict energy. Now it's more powerful because you can just see it. Now I'm mad. I'm not
Hmm.
victimized by it. So I'm not helpless and hopeless and defeated. Now I'm angry. Now I'm
Yeah.
mad. Now I'm maybe blaming somebody else for my problems and it's blah, blah, blah. But I'm blinded by that rage. So again, I'm not seeing options. I'm not seeing choice in life. I'm not claiming the power of choice. There's no, and I know Chad, you and I talked about this before, we're not taking responsibility.
Mhm.
So we're down in this black hole. We don't see options. We don't see choice. We're not claiming the power of choice. So it's an unconscious way of being in life. So in that energy of anger, right? Conflict, feelings of anger, then what's that look like as a behavior? I mean, if it's a teenager, maybe there's eye rolling or door slamming.
Yeah.
We
Right.
parents listening may can relate to that. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe it's yelling.
Mm.
Again, it's blame, it's hate, it's just we see a lot of this in the political climate. We see all this just blame shifting and nobody taking accountability and it's just whatever. The first level up, and again, we have 5 levels of this positive energy of ways of thinking and then therefore feeling and therefore behaving or taking action in life. And this is where we become conscious. This is
Hmm.
where intention, because now we can have choice because we're in the light, we're out of that black hole darkness. First level's just basic taking responsibility,
Yeah.
saying, I refuse to go back down in that black hole and get stuck in victim and conflict. And that's like a lazy 8 infinity loop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
It
where
is.
people get stuck. And
Yep.
we waste so much time and energy and we cost us relationships. And it just it's toxic for us and for people
Yeah.
in relationship with us,
Yeah.
right?
I
So
thought
just
of. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, just taking responsibility and saying, hey, I just got my head out of that dark hole. Wow, there's options. It's still kind of self-centered. It's still kind of low awareness, but at least I've got some awareness enough to say, I'm gonna take responsibility enough for me
Hmm.
to let go. The feeling is I'm just going to let go of whatever I'm holding on to, the thoughts, the feelings, the people, the beliefs that'll sink me down into conflict and victim energy. Therefore, what do my actions look like or sound like? Cooperating, cooperation for what? My own wins in life. I'm still not thinking about others, so it's still kind of a low energetic field, but at least I'm out of that victim conflict. I'm choosing something different. And
Yeah.
after that, Chad, after I take responsibility for myself, then I can even show up for others. Then I can start creating
Yes.
wins. Then I can start tapping into intuition. Then I can even get really
Yeah.
close and I can let go of judgments and I can actually create. And experience joy and all
Yes,
those.
it's so true. You made me think of a number of things. So
Okay.
let's see if I get to them. But when I was in the thick of my depression, in the thick of stuff that I was dealing with, I never thought I had choice. And I thought everything was happening to me,
Yes.
and against me, and all those type of things. And several years, many years ago, there was a self-help book I read, and in that, and I wish I could remember the title, wish I could remember the author. I haven't been able to find it. I've even Googled it, but what stuck out to me the most was, I am as powerful as I allow myself to be. And when we
Amazing.
are in victim mode, we don't realize how powerful we are.
Yeah.
And we are programming ourselves to be in victim mode. And I want that to sink into people who are listening. There is a way out. But if you keep telling yourself, and if you keep relating to yourself as a victim, you're never going to get out. It's never going to change. And so one of the things that I've been learning on my journey is how powerful we truly are
Yeah.
as human beings. Because yes, we've come from the spiritual world, and we've incarnated in the human beings, but as a human being, we get to access all these levels of spirituality, from the human aspect to the spiritual aspect. One day I can be miserable, and life doesn't seem to be going well, but in the next minute I could be in cloud nine, or having a spiritual experience. But even in the low parts, that's also a spiritual experience. But we're able to move in and out of these places, and we don't realize that at the time, because we think it's, oh, if I'm depressed, then things aren't going well. If I'm great, then I'm out of depression, or I'm moving forward. And it's just not the case. We
Right.
have these abilities to go in and out of these places, to learn and to experience. And that's why we became human, I think. It's what I'm learning. So,
I love
but yes, we are as powerful as we allow ourselves to be.
What a great statement. Yes. And when we say victim, Chad, I want the listeners, doesn't mean you feel sorry for yourself. It just means
Yes.
that you're victimized by life. And you said it best when you said, basically, you're saying that you feel like do not have the ability to affect change in your life. It's a state of hopelessness, helplessness,
Mhm.
defeat. Um, why bother? Why try? It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
change anything anyway. Um, it's different than just plain old pessimism.
Hmm.
It's different. It is I cannot affect change here. I am I, I can't do anything about it. I truly can't. It's an ability thing, not a willingness,
Hmm.
lack of ability. And that is very defeating for people.
Yes. Yeah.
They may want it. They want it.
Hmm.
It's not about willing, it's about ability. And that's a very difficult place and when people get stuck there, sometimes sometimes it just takes that statement in that book. I am powerful. I'm powerful. I have choice. And
Hmm.
seeing something or having a conversation with someone that can help them see the light. Um, there's so that this is why I'm like, sometimes when we're going through a difficult time in life, and this is like on my website, my keywords are survive, strive, thrive. And you can't leave that middle part out. Strive. A lot of
Hmm.
times we're surviving something that's happening to us, and that can make us go down into that victim level of energy. We feel like we can't affect change. It's happening to me. Like you said, life is happening to me, and we're in that storm in life. But what I can tell people is every storm runs out of rain, every one of them. If we can just remember that and then be willing to do the work, that's the strive. Sometimes we can't get there on our own.
Yes.
Sometimes we need somebody to hold our hand and pull us out and say, here you go, here's the way, and here's the work. Strive
Yeah.
is the work that you do, before you can thrive again. Because there
Hmm.
is work to do. There's personal reflection. I know, Chad, for all the heartbreaks and personal losses I've had, and I've had everything from an abusive marriage to the death of my firstborn child to a very difficult divorce, dealing with a narcissist controlling um, spouse. I've had many more. And the thing is, survive one, there's always another storm too, right? But as I healed from each one, this is the one thing I would say from our conversation earlier, my resilience
Hmm.
strengthens. My resilience strengthens. Knowing myself, um, trusting myself, different things
Hmm.
about me strengthen. But I can tell you, like, repeating theme in my healing journey has been the returning to myself, coming back home to me,
Yes.
because I think a lot of us lose ourselves in these storms of life, in these experiences that make us feel helpless, hopeless, defeated, or angry, and feeling like this is happening to me in that
Mhm.
angry way. Because you can say it's happening to me in the victim way, or this is happening to me and it's their fault or his fault.
Yeah.
Some people point the finger in. Look, Anne, you did it again. I can't believe you did that again. Or there you go, loser, you did it again. Which,
Hmm.
wherever you direct the energy, it's victim conflict. That's why people are like this, right? Stuck. And the only way out, like you said before, there's only one way out, and that's up. And that becomes choice, but you can't have the choice till you're conscious that choice exists.
Hmm.
That's what I hope you and I are doing today, is
Yeah.
helping people become conscious that that choice exists, and it's just taking responsibility.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's saying, whether it's saying I deserve better, I want better, I can have better, it exists, believing that it exists, asking for help, recognizing there are hands out there that will hold your hand. That's who we are.
Yes.
Somebody told me one time, well, there's two things that stick out in my mind, when somebody asks me, about myself. One said that I'm like the highlighter for them in all the self-help books in the world.
Okay. Yeah.
This kid, And another one said I'm a flashlight on their path because I've been down it ahead of them and I'm
Mhm.
turning around, shining the flashlight. And I know your journey and the fact that you're open and vulnerable, Chad, to share your truth about having been depressed, having um, basically rejected God on some level and then come
Yeah.
back to him in a different and kind of broader way, and being able to talk about that is so relatable to people, that you're a lighthouse
Mm.
in this world.
Yeah.
So I
Thank
think
you.
that, of course, absolutely. But this is what we've been through, what we've been through, not
Hmm.
to experience it alone and for it to be for naught. It's to share it so other people can hear their truths in our story
Hmm.
and say, okay, I can survive, strive, and thrive as well.
Yes. Yeah. I want to share something with you, and I want to know if you can relate to it or not. When I was going through the thick of it, as I call it, I would reach out to people like us,
Yeah.
and I got turned away every single time because my my finances were not in alignment with what they were asking for, and they wouldn't give me a discount. They wouldn't give me a break, even though they could tell that I was hungry for change.
Mhm.
And um, I used to be also used to be intimidated with people like you, for example, because you got so many initials behind your name. you know and that doesn't mean anything. You can comment on that if you want to, but there are people who really love education. They love to study, and so that and I think you're one of those people. But you know I don't want people to be afraid to contact us because of the money.
Right. Yeah.
This is more than the money. It's not about the money. Yes, we need to be compensated and everything else, but I was turned away time and time again, even now. You know, I mean, even though my finances are so much better than they've ever been, there are certain people I would love to work with, but they're asking for 10, 20,000 plus dollars, and I'm going, that just doesn't fit into my budget right now, and they don't want to budge.
No,
And I think, and there's nothing wrong with them, but I or with that, but I think we're losing the reason we do this,
it is.
because it is out of the journey that I've had that I want to help people,
Of course, yes.
especially with being turned away from people like me back then. It's
Yes.
like we are here for you. We are here for each other. And I think I don't know if you said it before I hit record or after I hit record, but we're learning. We're also healing from our clients at the same time.
Yeah. Always. Well, I said I'm always a student, sometimes a teacher,
Yes. Yes.
but and I said, uh, but in this role, I'm a guide, and I help people find within themselves the answers. The answers do
Hmm.
exist within everyone, right? And I believe that. I know you believe that as well. That
Becoming your
they're,
own mentor,
yes,
your
they're
own
hidden
healer.
and they're buried under layers. So I think what we do, we help people unearth what's inside them, and I totally believe in what we do. I believe in it so much because I've seen it change lives. So
Hmm.
speaking of people being scared, so the alphabet behind name, at least
Yeah.
in my case, I said before that was about me going for all these
Yes.
training because I didn't feel qualified and certified. I was already helping people in
Hmm.
the same way, but but I learned new skills. I learned new ways to improve, to make me a better guide, to make me and it gave me formal titles, but that's not what made me a good coach. What made me a good coach was already inbred in me. If you go back to my high school annual, people wrote in there that I was such a good listener,
Mm.
right? Um, I was known for being a good listener. I was told I should have my own Dear Annie column.
Okay.
To me for advice. I have my own Dear Annie column now, by the way. Someone that I was a guest on their podcast happens to have an online magazine, and I now have a Dear Annie column in his magazine.
Nice.
So I'm an advice columnist. It's something that was just natural and innate for me. I was always the go-to girl for
Mhm.
people having problems. So I think it's a natural thing. My undergrad degree was journalism. Um, it was about, I learned the art of asking questions to help people reveal their stories.
Yes.
I apply that now. It's just something that is who I am, it's who you are, it's what we do. And here we are. Now, as far as working with people,
Mhm.
I think both of us put out a lot of free content. That's one way
Yes.
people can learn and benefit from what we have to share. The other thing is, I know I offer a half-hour complimentary discovery session so we can
Mhm.
meet, see if we're right. And then I have different packages and I have different options for people. And I always try to help people find what's going to be best for them. I have an online course. I have coaching that has a commitment to a timeline and coaching that doesn't.
Right.
And I also offer some pro bono coaching on occasion. And
Mhm.
I have people that I can put on a waiting list for that. And we can look at merit. So there are always some opportunities for people. I don't
Yes.
want you to hold back. I want you to come forward. Let's have the time to talk and see. And maybe I'm not the right person for you, but maybe I know who is.
Right.
Maybe I can refer you to someone. But don't suffer in silence.
Yes. Yes.
There- There's something that's coming to mind, Chad, for me. It's about eh, carry your load and share your burden, right?
Mm.
And this is
Yeah.
biblical, right? Carry your load. And I think about like we should carry our own backpack through life, but don't set it down and expect everybody to do everything for you. Carry your own backpack worth of weight through life. But when it becomes too much, when it's a burden, when you've got like a ton of baggage around you, these suitcases, and you're supposed to get up the mountain with us. Now it's a burden. That's when you're supposed to share it. You're supposed to tap in
Mhm.
resources and people and what do you have. And that's what we are. We're a resource to help reduce your burden so that you
Yes,
can get back down to a normal backpack worth to carry through life.
right. It's true.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the El Camino de Santiago. You know, we
Yeah.
especially the first trip, we stuff our bag. We take everything and 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 it's really nothing. And but we learn as we keep going that okay, this is heavier than it needs to be, and so we start to unload. And this is the first trip. Some people go a second time and it takes them the second time to unload their pack, you know. So but it's exactly that. It's so beautifully said, so beautifully said.
Um,
We don't
yeah.
need to be carrying all that we're carrying, and we definitely don't need to be doing it alone.
Yeah. Absolutely not. So don't be intimidated. I hope we're not intimidated. You'll reach out for
Exactly.
help. That we are just two people who've been through a lot of pain, and
Yes.
we've come through the other side, and we're willing and able to help those who need it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, people who know the pneuma and know that's Greek for breath and for air. Um, I love how I'll tie it in here in a second, but soul CPR. When I first saw your website, I felt like my soul jumped, like I was being resuscitated. It was like a kickstart. When I look at your website, that's I feel like my soul is going to get a jump start or a kickstart with the when I work with you or just reading your stuff on your website. And the breath does exactly that.
Yeah.
We need to breathe. And I think I know that you talk about breathing, and you have breathing exercises with the people you work with. But breathing is so important. It is the life force. It is the what gave us life. Whether you believe in God or not, we're here because of breath.
Yeah.
And I tell people the very breath we breathe is a spiritual experience. We have to take that in
Mm.
because we're constantly looking for the mountaintop experience, but that's not what
Mm.
all it's about.
Mm.
And we need to be still, especially when we're going through trauma, especially when we're in the thick of it. As I've said before, we have to breathe because when we are in the thick of it, we are tight. We are cutting our breath short and we are not breathing. We think we are, but we are not taking full energetic healing breaths. And that breath will bring healing.
It will.
It'll bring tears. When we go in through a practice of breathing, our body calms down and we realize how tense and how tight we are.
Mhm.
And I lost my moment of my train of thought for a second. Um, but that breath, that's still we need to bring that stillness into every part of our lives.
Mm.
It's not just about meditating and being still. It's bringing that meditation and that stillness so that our lives become still.
Right.
So our lives become the breath. And so when I see soul CPR, that's what I think about. So
I love that. So soul CPR is uh, it became I was actually writing a chapter for a book. So a book that's a
okay.
like a compilation of authors and one chapter's each authors. And so I was having to share my story, like my life story in one chapter. I'm like, wow. And how do I do this? And I titled the chapter Becoming Buoyant. So just like you're talking about becoming
Mm,
still, I talked about just swimming through life. But I talked
okay.
about the fact that my dad taught me how to swim. And I was so excited to learn how to swim in Lake Cosby back home in Alabama. But he wouldn't teach me to swim until I learned how to float first. And he said it's going to be very important. It could save your life if you know how to float.
Mm, mm,
And what's floating? It's being still. And when
mm.
you lean back in the water, and you're floating, your ears are underwater, what do? You can hear your breath, and it's amplified, and you can hear your heartbeat, right? And you're still. You might be slightly moved, but you're just still, and you've got the sky above you, my sky view coach. So I'm just like, wow, that pause. So when I started writing this chapter about my life, I talked about learning to swim. I talked about having to learn to float first, and that was the most important lesson that I had no idea how important till
Mm.
later in life. And then I talk about my traumas, blah, blah, blah. And then I talked about how did I heal? And I realized what I did was this process that I acronymed with CPR. We have to look at the past. A lot of people want to escape the past and never look back, but you've got to visit the past. So the C of CPR is connect the dots.
Okay.
Connect the dots like on a menu, a kid's menu in a restaurant, and then all of a sudden a picture emerges and you go, whoa, I thought that was going to be a tiger. It's an elephant with a monkey, right? So connect the dots is about looking at the past. And then P in CPR is pinpoint the pain. What's the pain in the
Mm.
present moment that I'm
Mm.
stuck in because of the past? Something from the past has me stuck in something now. I'm either repeating patterns, but there's a pain that I'm carrying, that burden. What is it? What's happening now? That's the P. And the R then is about recovering. The truth of who I am underneath all those layers that we talked about is coaching, working with clients and helping them uncover and unearth that. Who was I before all this? Who am I at my core? Who's the authentic me underneath it all? Recovering the truth of who I am so I can revive my life and then thrive once more. So when I realized that was what I did, when I had to say, how did I heal? Or what is my journey? What is my path? I realized that was the process. So I was able to put it into an acronym form that was my soul CPR. I'm like, wow. So it's
Mm.
because I was asked to write that chapter that I came up with soul CPR,
Wow.
my thing. And I've now have an online course called Soul CPR. I have the podcast Soul CPR. I have a annual retreat called Soul CPR. It's my thing. And it is about, and I talk about the pause, the stillness,
Mm.
hearing the breath, finding the breath again. What do we do with CPR? The first thing we do is check for breath, then
Yes.
pulse. Breath first.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not breathing, it doesn't matter if the pulse is there. We got to
Yeah.
check for the breath first.
So
Open
true.
way. Open air. I was CPR trained. I was a lifeguard. I talk about it. A lifeguard. I was a flight attendant. I did a lot of things that I had to be CPR trained for. But that airway and that breath, like you said, is what matters. And my
Yeah.
first line in that chapter is life begins with an inhale and ends with an
Mm.
exhale. So, Chad, my friend, we are so connected. Oh, balloons.
Oh my, I wonder where that came from.
I think AI is listening. I don't know, but I
Okay.
like what we said.
Yes. Oh my. So cool. Oh.
The breath. Yeah. Pneuma. And I love the word pneuma. And I'm married to a Greek. So I always hear
Okay.
it comes from a Greek word. Da, 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 da. So
Yeah. Well, and if people who also are familiar with it, and also the religious aspect of it, it also comes from the Hebrew word ruha, which means exactly the same thing in Hebrew, and it's God's breath, it's the life force, and so the Greeks just translated into Greek for pneuma. But I love these words. I love ancient words because it helps me connect to my soul. It helps me connect to God and to spirit and in my journey. These words are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful, and there's so many more, and I forget them often. But yeah. So you're married to a Greek guy. He knows the word pneuma.
oh, yeah.
Um,
And no matter what it is, he'll tell me it came from a Greek word and give me the origin.
okay,
It's
of
like the
course.
I think that Greek wedding. Greek word.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Good movie. Good movie. So people know that I do a monthly meditation group, and you're going to be joining us next month. I think it's August 12th. I believe it's 12th or the 13th. It's a Monday. So
In
it'll be
that
on my
right
website.
in that week, yeah. 11th,
Yeah,
12th,
it's in
13th,
that.
Monday is, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Monday evening. You're going to be joining us, and
Mhm.
that date will be on the website. So don't miss it. Um, is there anything that you want to share that we haven't touched on, that, or something that we did touch on and we didn't explore enough of? Um,
I was just going to say the first line of my book is actually, or my chapter in that book is life begins with an inhale, ends with an exhale. It's what happens in between that leaves us holding our breath. And
oh yeah.
we're breathing and we're not. That's the first line. I just wanted to add that. Um, uh, no, there's nothing that's coming to mind except that I really appreciate your having me on the show and to talk today because I think it's just very rewarding. I know that we often talk about our healing journeys. Uh, some people do them so privately and they worry about them
Mhm.
impacting others, and they can impact others. And sometimes they impact them positively, and sometimes they impact them negatively, right? And it's, I
Yeah.
think, having that awareness around that. Um, I know this for myself. As I'm healing, I know I've changed how I show up in relationship to others. And in that way, as a friend, as a mother, as a partner, as a coach, it has been a positive and affirming change. Now, that means I've also had to let go of some people in my life as I've
Mm.
healed. And that's not always easy to do. I've had to let go of people, and I've had to make sure everyone and everything is that I keep in my life is still a safe place for me to continue a healing journey. And I think that sometimes people um, they either slow down their healing or they circumvent it or they sabotage it by keeping people, places, things in their lives that do not facilitate, support, encourage healing. So I just wanted to bring that up because we all sometimes
Yeah.
have to make some hard decisions and choices around that, but also we can inspire others because people may say, I've had people say, when you shared that, I heard my
Mhm.
truth, or I now feel seen. I feel like I can open up about that. And that to me is everything. So healing inspires healing, but we also have to
Yes.
stay in a place with other people who want the same, or
Hmm.
we can stay wounded
That's right.
and sick.
I have a question, one final question for you,
Sure.
and of course it's up to you whether you want to answer or how you want to answer. But what is Anne's biggest struggle?
Mm.
What's your dark night of the soul?
Ooh, I was going to answer one way. Now I want to go a different way. My biggest struggle is my first gut reaction was um, letting go of people
Mm.
whom I can't help, right?
Say that again. Letting go of
Letting
people.
go of people I cannot help.
Oh yeah.
Feeling the need to rescue and save and and letting go of those um, and letting go of responsibility for other people's outcomes. That is a struggle for me as being highly empathetic.
Mm.
Um, it's something I learned as a lifeguard. You have to know when when the victim starts to drown you, when you're the rescuer, right? And I use that analogy, my mindset a lot. If I'm in a position to try to help someone, but they start pulling me underwater, I have to know to let go. And that's something I've
Hmm.
struggled with my whole life. I'd like to say that I'm certainly much better at it now, but it's something that's always in my thought process. I've had to let clients go before. I've had to discontinue serving them and let them know that and refer them elsewhere because it's impacting. I don't think I'm helping them, and I think I'm starting to. It's negatively impacting me. The dark what of my soul? Say that again. How
The
did
dark night of the soul. Because I people think it only happens once, or and I am finding that I can have several dark night of the souls because it's part of the healing journey. Because when we sign up for this healing journey, as I call it, there are layers upon layers, like an onion, of things that we learn about ourselves and get in touch with, especially things that we didn't even remember.
Yes.
And so it's the dark night of the soul. It that time when I can't do a podcast today. I can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
And because we all have them. It doesn't just happen once in our lives.
Mhm.
It's because there were times that I'd say I'd check out and go, I'm not getting up today. Throw the covers right back over my head, and I'd check out the rest of the day. I'd find an excuse to call into work or find an excuse to not to fulfill an obligation that I had that day. And but there are times I still have that, but I don't give into it. But
Right.
that's what I'm eating to the that's what I'm referring to as the dark night of the soul, when I have that day where I can't do it today. And I give myself permission, but I still am productive in some way.
Right.
What's yours, Ann?
Hmm.
If you're
I
willing
think
to go there.
no, I'm willing to go there. I like you. I don't think I let myself fully give into anything like that anymore. But I can tell you that if and I have clients who struggle with this too, I can let one glass of wine turn into two, turn into three,
Okay.
right? Especially after like a hard day, or I've had a Monday night support group and I'm like, okay, I need to go wind down. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have a glass of wine. And next thing I know, I've poured two, three. And that's an unconscious coping. And I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
then I have to bring it back. I'm like, okay, that's not coping now. That's copying out. And
Yes.
and so that is a struggle that I can say that's when and if I do it one night, okay. If I go 2 nights, it's going to go 3 nights. So it's something that I have to pay attention to. If I'm getting in that mindset, that means too much. I need to go back and I need to say, where am I feeling overwhelmed and why?
Mm.
What or who do I need to let go of?
Yeah.
Where do I need to take responsibility for change? Because this is where I think I'm coping and I'm not. I'm copying out.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say. Of
Thank you for your vulnerability.
course.
That was beautiful. I'm sure a lot of us could relate to that in some way, shape, or form. Do you also, though, at times, today I want to enjoy 3 glasses. Do you give yourself time to, because it's a different conversation. It's a different
Yeah.
approach.
But I've never enjoyed 3 glasses. Three is
Okay.
too, right? So I would say
Okay.
I could I enjoy 1 to 2, two on
Okay.
just to sip. No. So two's my limit. So
Okay.
again, when we talk about boundaries, and boundaries is a big conversation with clients for
Yes.
me. Once
Yeah.
you know who you are, then you gotta know what you stand for and protect it. Boundaries is next. My limit is 2.
Mm.
But if
Okay.
I'm alone, winding down on the sofa, mindlessly watching TV, and I go past 2, I'm not enjoying,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And so there's a difference. So
Yes.
when alcohol for me, wine, it should be for enjoyment. And
Okay.
that's when I'm using it to wind down, it's no longer enjoyment. Now it's
Mhm.
a coping mechanism, which is actually a cop out.
Okay. Love
And
that.
I'll call myself out every time.
And it may
So
be different. Yeah.
yeah, and I was just going to say, so something that I do for myself and clients who struggle the same way, it's
Mm.
the wine glass I want to hold. That's what relaxes me.
Okay.
Sparkling water in the wine glass, drop a raspberry in it or a blueberry. It's the wine glass. It's just like my mother used to smoke cigarettes. She said she quit when I was 2 or 3 years old, so I don't really
Okay.
remember smoking. But she told me my whole life if somebody put a lit cigarette in her fingers, she would be a smoker again because she enjoyed holding the cigarette so much. It was the act of smoking, not the
Yes.
taste. Not so this is it's a type of cognitive behavioral therapy, if you will. Holding the wine glass is really what I want. It's not the wine. So I
Hmm.
could pour orange juice in it. I could pour apple juice. I could pour, but I tend to pour Perrier or whatever in it, and it's just
Sure.
and I feel just this. I get the same benefit without the
Yeah.
calories, without the not feeling good, which
Yeah.
I don't feel
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Oh, and I could talk to you forever.
Oh,
And maybe down the road we'll have you back. But
I,
as we're winding down, I wanna point out if anyone wants to reach out to us, they can.
awesome.
I also have free consultations, um, and mine go a little longer than yours, but that's okay. But yeah, we have free consultations. We have a lot of free stuff on both of our sites, and I'm going to put it in the show notes. But if anyone wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
So just go to Ann, ANN, at skyviewcoaching.com. And then
Okay.
you can find all my social links there as well for LinkedIn, for Instagram, Facebook. And then the podcast is on pause at the moment because I'm rebranding and restyling because my network just went out of business, Bold Brave TV, but you can still find all the episodes with Chad and everyone on YouTube and on all the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeart, and all of those, all of them. I don't know all of them, but
Yeah.
all the apps, wherever you to your podcast, you'll be able to find Soul CPR. And if you find the one with Chad, you'll hear us discuss even more things that may interest you. And soon I'll be starting my own YouTube channel just to be able to scoot over from the Bold Brave TV network that recently shut down. And I'll figure out where to house my podcast after that when I start some new shows. And you'll be one of my first guests once I
Okay.
resume a new network. Okay, Chad? You got to
Okay.
say yes.
I'm honored. I'm honored. I will do it. I will do it. Since we are so big into the breath and to the healing breath, I was wondering if we could just take a moment. I don't know that I'll do this on all my shows, but it felt right as I was preparing for our show. If we could just take a moment and breathe together in silence, and I'll kind of bring us back when it kind of feels like the right time. So if you want to join Ann and I in just breathing and just being in the stillness, being in the moment together, let's go ahead and do that for a moment. I want to thank everyone that's joined us today. Because moments like this, we are all one. We're all doing the same thing, and this sends out a vibration, not only within ourselves, but with each other, to be in a place of love. So thank you for joining us, Ann. Thank you for being on the show today. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise, even my dog is breathing with us. I don't know if you can hear him, but his pattern
I
was
did.
anyway.
Nice, nice.
Thank you, Chad. It's been an
You're
honor.
welcome. Thank you.